My name is Mark Kenyon, and I love whitetail deer. I love studying them,
There's two fawns, see?
hunting them, and yes, eating them. Whitetails are found across a wider swath of America than any other large mammal, which is why I've set out for the ultimate whitetail tour, exploring the wildly different terrains these deer call home and the unique characters that hunt them there.
On your love all the time.
This week, I'm heading back to my home turf of the Midwest, but in a very different situation than I'm used to. To get an inside look at the culture and process of managing for big Midwest whitetails, I'm headed to Buffalo County, Wisconsin, to learn from the founder of Bluff Country Outfitters, Tom Indrebo. I'll spend one day picking his brain and touring his farm before setting off on my own.
So a friend of mine, him and his family hunted down here gun hunting. So I said, well, let's go down there bow hunting. So we came down here and started bow hunting, and any of the farmers let us hunt on their land. We had to run the whole county basically.
That's very nice.
Go wherever you wanted to, but they said, well, we can't get in with a gun. How are you going to get in with a bow? They didn't understand bow hunting, And so that's kind of how I got started down here. And we were just some of the first bow hunters in here. And it got to be at that time, we were trying to shoot a big buck. So because of the big bucks here, farmers sold off little parcels of woodland, for hunting. So they ended up selling off little pieces like that. So my brother-in-law bought a big old VHS camera, and he goes, take that down there and film some of that big bucks. And so I did, and I wanted to be down here every day. And I had a body shop at the time in a little town about 35 miles from here. So I'd have to go home about every 3 days and finish up a job or something, and just so I could get down here again.
Get back out and get the deer.
I'd work at night so I could get down the next day or something.
I can relate.
But anyways, we started filming, and what happened was we were kind of got to be between me and the guy that hunting with, who got to be closest to the biggest buck, because we liked hunting so much we didn't want to use our tag up. So it was like, well, then I'm done hunting.
So you just want a video?
Yeah, I wanted to be out there hunting.
Tom has built Bluff Country Outfitters since the 1980s, when he realized that filming local bucks and capturing hunts on tape led to new opportunities, including becoming one of the most popular outfitters for trophy whitetail deer in the U.S. Capturing these big buck moments provided proof of what's possible when managing for older deer and improving habitat, and enabled his story to spread throughout the whitetail community.
Actually, I haven't shot a deer in 30 years since I've been here, but I get to hunt 'em.
What's so curious to me is you put in all this time. You're clearly unbelievably passionate about it, but you don't hunt yourself.
Yeah. When I moved here and I started doing hunters, it didn't look good if I shot the deer and they didn't, So I thought, I get to hunt every day basically with my cameras and, working on stands. So what's been nice for me is I get to do it year round, every day. But, I realize it is what it is and that they don't have a long lifespan anyway. But every one of them was a learning experience and a memory of when it started with them and how many years. And I've been able to follow some of them for, 8, 9, 10 years. You're really able to follow them pretty close. This is a big flat ridge top that's all wooded. Okay. And there's just over the edge here, they run those edges on the steep edges. So the bucks during the rut use them a lot because they need to have water. They get dehydrated from running steady. They don't eat it or nothing, but they gotta have water.
You seem to put ponds in a lot of different locations. It seems to be a big part of what you do.
Years ago, I saw that on logging roads up on these ridges. If it rained, there would be a mud puddle. and it would just turn into mud there, and it was just pounded with tracks. So we started putting in little ponds with small cats, and the deer love them. It's a gathering spot for them, you know, so they hang around them all the time. So here's another camera, and see, there's another fresh bed. So I might get a buck come up through here that I wouldn't get on that camera.
Okay.
The other thing I've noticed on cameras is deer, sometimes I run several cameras in one spot, and I'll put a camera on another camera so I get behind it to see what's behind it.
Yeah.
And that makes a difference too, because I had a spot I knew there was a bunch of bucks, and I had a camera in there for a couple of weeks and I never got any bucks on it. And I put another camera facing the camera, and right away I got 3 big bucks on it right behind the camera.
What's crazy about hunting out here in Buffalo County is that it's not, I mean, it's obviously very unlikely, but it's not outside the realm of possibility that a 200-inch buck like this could be around. I don't think I've ever hunted someplace where that was quite this possible. What do you find to be the best, most attractive food here in January in the bitter cold?
Soybeans.
Soybeans.
And soybeans are good. They're good early in the year, like in August, September. They eat the leaves off them, and they'll eat every leaf off them, and then it'll just be the bean left. They don't touch those beans till this time of year much. They'll eat a few of them, but not like they just gorge themselves on them now when it gets cold, like in January, February. That seems to be the best all-around food source here in Wisconsin, I think. You know, if you got a greens that stay green, if you get snow early and before it freezes, and it gets on like alfalfa or third crop alfalfa or something, they'll just in January, February totally demolish that. And there's very few years that happens, but when it has, I found like almost 30 sheds in one field, you know, where they're all right there.
Here we go. This one's gonna be a different kind of experience. Begins another hunt, and this one, I gotta be honest, I am uncomfortable with this hunt. In a certain way, I should be comfortable because this is kind of my kind of home turf. At least it's the Midwest. This is the kind of stuff I hunt in Michigan. Not the same topography, but agricultural land. But what's very, very different is the fact that this is an outfitted hunt, right? I'm here with Tom, and that is something that I've never done before. I've never been on an outfitted hunt like this, and that's been on purpose. It's been for a reason. Because I have always felt like I would not have earned a buck if I were to kill one with an outfitter who did all the work that led up to it. I felt like that would be somehow cheating the process for me personally. So I've avoided it. But when I started thinking about who are these people that embody this Midwestern whitetail management culture and kind of lifestyle, well, few people do that more than Tom Indrebo do. And if I want to go to Tom, I had to experience this too, and it's probably not a bad idea because not only do I want to learn about whitetail management, but a whole lot of people go on outfitted hunts, and they seem to really enjoy that. And who am I to be making judgments about that without having experienced it myself? So, that's what I'm here to do. You can knock deer management for a number of different things, right? There's people that have their critiques, but there are a lot of trickle-down benefits too. And you can't look at this landscape or take a walk out here in the spring and see all the flourishing life and deny that. So, it's pretty cool to see. This is like the pinnacle of what's possible. Hopefully tonight or over the next couple of days, from a deer viewing standpoint, I'll get to enjoy those fruits too. Tom's definitely perfected his craft. It's 4:36. So that means there's about a little more than a half hour daylight left. Prime time. And I can't believe I'm saying this, but I haven't seen a single deer yet. You'd think it's -3 wind chill right now, fresh snow, and I'm in Buffalo County. You'd think that wouldn't be the update, but hunting's still hunting. You just never know. Just saw something moving through those trees. It's not the night I expected, but did see those 5 does at the end of the night. 2 walked behind us, 3 came up in front feeding, and then that yoke came through and spooked them all out. And that was it. So, going to get warmed up, get some food, and come back out tomorrow. Alright, well, did a scouting drive this afternoon and checked out the main food sources. And one of those that was getting hit the very most was this turnip food plot at the top of these ridges. I think that's where I want to go back to. It just seems like it's getting pounded. It's freezing cold. There's a lot of good bedding over there. And it just screams out great late season location. So I'm going to drive up the back side of that field, put this pop-up up, and see what comes out. Settled into this location that looks pretty dynamite. I do not have a whole lot of times or places in my past where I've been able to hunt, areas as good as this. I've got this really nice turnip food plot in front of me that's just been pounded by deer within the last 24 hours because this is fresh snow. You've got all these thick bedding ridges coming off of this top. And then back behind me, you've got cut corn and a little patch of standing corn a little further down. And that's what late season hunting's all about, is finding that attractive food source and waiting over top of it. And that's what I've got here. So it was good getting to see the area. Yesterday me and Tom drove around the south side, and today we drove around the north side. So I got eyes on really all the main food sources. And with this snow, it's just so easy to see where they are. Right here, in a 15-yard circle, he has 3 trail cameras. And we've gone to a number of different locations where he has 3, 4, 5, 7 cameras in an acre or 2. I mean, he really, really monitors what's going on. And then he studies them religiously. And I think what that does is twofold. And this could be applied, not just in an outfitted place where a lot of hunters come, but even on a personal property. When you do that, you really get an idea of what's out there. You very thoroughly know what's possible. And I think that makes passing younger deer more palatable when you know, like, hey, there is a 4-year-old buck out there. And if you just had 1 camera every 30 acres, you might never see that deer. Now, on the flip side, it takes away some of the mystery. Some people might not like that. There's 4 does now in front of that other blind next to the standing corn. I've always had one of those weird things where it feels not quite right if you kill a deer on the very first hunt. It was almost too easy. But the perfect day to kill a deer is day 3, because it's far enough along that you felt you had to earn it, but not so far that you suffered and were really worried you wouldn't get it done. So tonight's night number 3. It feels like the perfect night to get it. And I'm in the same general zone I hunted last night, but about 150 yards down the field edge, where this little patch of standing corn is. Last night, probably 80% or more of the deer came out and fed here first. Some filtered down to me, but the majority were here. So you take that recent intel and you make a move on it, which is what I did. There happened to be this old box blind sitting here that I'm taking advantage of, not today, which is nice from the perspective of having a good view. Not so nice from the perspective that's very tight, it's small, it's loud. It's actually going to be harder to kill a deer from this than I think from that pop-up blind, just because I can't move in here very easily without making noise, without bumping up against the walls with the bow. So it's going to be challenging in its own kind of way, but there's this knockdown corn in front of me that obviously the deer were keying in on, so there should be deer here, just a matter of whether or not a mature buck comes in, and if I can actually get situated and drawn back to get a shot. So it'll be interesting in its own way. Excited to see what happens.
All right, I've got to level with you guys. This hunt was a goat rodeo. And I mean, who'd have thought that trying to hunt and film out of a 3x3 foot wooden box would be a pain in the ass? But despite the game of human Jenga, deer started piling in.
That's the one he wants me to pass.
This buck, this gorgeous Buffalo County buck, is in range right now. But because of the box I'm in, I can't maneuver for a shot. I just need him to follow this other buck down in front of the blind. Oh, and don't go into that impenetrable stand of corn. Of course. But as long as these deer don't spook, I gotta believe he'll eventually step out. And there we go.
Oh, that sucked. These deer were just as comfortable as all get out feet in front of us. Just waiting for that big one to step out of the standing corn. And and a doe and a fawn stepped out right next to the box blind. And that doe walked right up to it and blew. And that scattered the whole plot, including the big buck.
But we are in Buffalo County, and we are on Tom Indrebo's farm. And if miracles are going to happen anywhere, it's here. And unbelievably, another big buck shows. This could actually work. Just as long as he stays out of that damn corn. Close, but not close enough. And that's really been the theme of my entire hunting season. Close calls, missed opportunities, hard-earned lessons. This is my last chance to change that story.
It's the evening of the 8th, and I'm back here in that same general area where I had those close encounters last night, but I've made a couple changes. Number one, I had one of the guys at camp try me in here.
Real comfy now.
He's gonna come back out here after dark too and clear the field with the vehicle versus me having to walk out. So that's one small thing that will hopefully help. But most importantly, I'm in here in a new pop-up blind about 40 some yards down from where I sat last night, hoping to catch these bucks where they're coming through before they get into that standing corn, which is what kept me from being able to get a shot. The big question mark is whether or not these deer will accept this pop-up blind, which is pretty conspicuous. We're on the edge of the woods, but it's conspicuous. So, last day here, and I think I now have a decent perspective on what an outfitted hunt is all about. I think that one thing that's really easy from the outset looking in to think is that outfitted hunts are a piece of cake, that you just are put somewhere and you're going to shoot a buck and it's easy and there's big bucks everywhere and it doesn't take any effort. That's obviously not true. There are plenty of things that are in your favor. I mean, you've got better access. You do have help. You do have some guidance.
Should be out of the wind pretty good for you.
But at the same time, you still got to get out there. You still got to make your own decisions. You still got to put in the time, deal with the elements, execute in the moment. That said, I can see why people enjoy this kind of thing. I can see that there's something to be said for it. It might not be for me, but I'm not going to judge anyone that does it. And if anyone were to come here with Tom, they'd have a great time. So it's been good to get that kind of peek behind the curtain.
Hopefully you get the shot before they get your wind,
More of the story is I've got a lot of respect for what Tom's done here, the work he's put in, the love and passion. I mean, that really stands out. He just loves this stuff, and that's really cool to see. And I think everyone that comes here benefits from that and gets a little piece of that passion too. Glad I did it. Glad to have been here, whether I kill a deer or not. So I just kind of realized that tonight is the last night of my 2021 hunting season. This is the last hunt of the year. And I mean, it's been one heck of a year. Probably the most memorable of my lifetime, even though it wasn't the most successful from a tags field perspective. It was tough from in that kind of way. But I've had one thing consistent, and that's that I've wanted to grow in some kind of way. I want to try something new that's gonna
Later of the day, I don't want to
take
bother
me to some new place or learn some new thing along the way. That has been what I've found to be what's made this a successful year. Because I've done things I never thought I could do or thought I would do.
He looks good.
There's some meat in the freezer. There are some antlers to take a look at. But most important, there's some really interesting memories and stories and laughs and
So
lessons.
here we're using this topography.
And that's what I'm taking away. The process has been one for the record books this year. And that's the trophy I'm going to take.